The word says itself. The focus lies on how artistic perspectives can contribute to the transformation of the manufacturing industry. Today's consumer demands more personalization and customization. Next slide, please, Natalia. Digital technologies, they have the potential to revolutionize different sectors to work more precisely, more efficiently, more sustainable, like big data, Internet of Things, cloud computing, machine learning. And thanks to factors like more efficient manufacturing or 3D printing, e-commerce platforms, mass customization of products that meets individual taste has become really mainstream. And today, next slide, please, Natalia. A product can be designed on a computer. The design can be tweaked in a few mouse clicks. A 3D printer and assembly line can run unattended. And a 3D printer could also make things which are way too complex for traditional factories to handle. So it looks like most jobs on the factory floor will happen in factories nearby, which will be full of designers, engineers, IT specialists, logistic experts, marketing staffs, and all other professionals. So dull and repetitive tasks might become obsolete. Next slide, please. So Better Factory as a project follows a global trend where people are likely to pay more when they can customize a product. And for now, these services have really been provided by very large companies such as Nike or BMW. Next slide, please. And this project explores how the same opportunities could be given to smaller manufacturing businesses in Europe. And unlike these bigger companies, these smaller manufacturing businesses, they do not have designers in-house. They also mostly don't have the technologies and they don't have the facilities to modify their products. So what do we aim to address? Next slide. Still next slide. Next one. One of the key things we want to do is to unlock the diversification of small manufacturing businesses, their product portfolio, and the customization of existing products. In order to do this, we combine the specific knowledge that manufacturing SMEs have together with artistic perspectives. This is what we call a creative challenge. And the second challenge is lean agile production. Lean production means almost no waste in the production, but at the same time, you need to be agile. And what happens a lot is that factories are very lean, they are very efficient, but they are not very agile. Next slide. So we are coming up with an idea how new products can be developed for the manufacturing SMEs and how an existing product can be transformed in a customizable product. Once we experimented with all these challenges, we would like to take the artist and the manufacturing SME all the way to the investors. This is one of the things we want to do. And of course, we also want to invest in skill challenge, which entails learning SMEs to deal with the latest technologies. How we will do it? Next slide, please. Every experiment that we will do has 3 stakeholders: an artist, a manufacturing SME, and a technology provider. Manufacturing SMEs, they produce all kinds of products going from Parmesan, from chairs to water filtration systems. Technology suppliers, they are companies that are experts in providing automation solutions, optimization softwares, but also robotics. Next slide. So through an open call process and matchmaking process facilitated by the mentors of Better Factory, these 3 will come together in what we call a knowledge transfer experiment, and they will work together with us on the RAMP platform. RAMP stands for Robotics and Automation Marketplace, but a more detailed description of RAMP will be given later on by Ali, the coordinator of the Better Factory program. And fundamentally, you could compare RAMP to an Amazon, a business to business for the manufacturing SMEs, where they can buy technology, but also artistic services and basically everything they need to improve their own production. So Amazon for the manufacturing SMEs. how could you apply? Next slide. So Better Factory works via an open call process for all stakeholders. And for us, this is also a project to create best practices that show to the broader manufacturing SMEs the benefit of collaborating with artists. And at the moment, we have just closed our open call for the first round. We received a total of 350 applications that all went through a matchmaking process supported by Better Factory. Finally, 38 teams submitted their experiments and 7 teams were finally selected now for a first round. These experiments are mentored by different mentors, each with their own distinctive expertise. We have technical mentors, which will guide them, the more technical implementation of all the technologies provided by RAMP. We have art mentors that provide support to the artists and the SMEs in guiding their creative solutions and challenges. And we have business mentors who help develop a business plan beyond the project. But I would like to give the floor now to Rodolfo, who will talk more about art industry collaborations from a broader perspective.
Thank you, Ramona, for your contribution. And as she mentioned, we'll give the floor to Rodolfo. Welcome, Rodolfo.
Thank you.
And let's explore this intersection between art and industry and how you look at it from your expertise.
Thank you very much, and welcome everybody. How nice to see how many of you on a regular Thursday afternoon decided to dedicate the last part of this afternoon to this session. I'm going to take you on a little story. I'm not going to say too much about the project or about the background, but a story that hopefully provokes some ideas or some insights on how artists and industry, or for that matter in a broader sense, can fruitfully collaborate. And to start that story, I thought of this quote by Henri Poincaré. And Henri Poincaré is a philosopher, an engineer, an artist, and a mathematician from the late 19th century. Some say he's the last universalist who knew everything. And if somebody knows everything, then we must take note of what he says. And he said that it is by logic that we prove, but by intuition, and sometimes even said artistic intuition, that we discover. And to illustrate that, I have 3 short stories. So Natalia, please, slide. What you see here is a close-up, a part of a painting that was made by the American artist Joseph Cohen a couple of years ago in 2017. And Joseph Cohen is an artist who is already known for quite some time for trying to create paint out of unexpected materials, let's say. He invented graphene paint, he invented silver paint, and at some point he was contacted by the Sloan Kettering Institute, who were working with carbon nanotubes to develop biomarkers for cancer detection. And they asked him if he could start experimenting with their carbon nanotubes, create paint out of it, create paintings out of it, as a form of scientific communication, to communicate what they were doing. He took on the challenge and he entered the labs and he created a paint with carbon nanotubes. But what happened next was completely unpredicted. He created a paint, he created paintings, but what he actually did was create a new type of biomarker, because they discovered that the paint he created actually could detect cancer from urine that could be brought in contact with the paint itself in a very early stage of development, much earlier than the biomarkers that the Sloan Kettering Institute at that point had developed. And not only that, the production of the paint could be done in large quantities and at very low cost. So the biomarker is not only very effective and efficient, it is also quite easy to scale up and distribute. And now Sloan Kettering, Joseph Cohen, and a pharmaceutical company are collaborating to bring this to a wide market. It is an unexpected discovery, but at the same time, a discovery nonetheless. If you can go to the next slide, Natalia. One more. Another artist that I wanted to show you in this context is Theo Jansen. You might have heard of him, some of you already. Theo is an artist and an engineer, and for already 30 years, he has been creating what you see on the left of your screen, which he calls strandbeesten, or beach animals. And his philosophy is, I do not want to use any electronics. I only want to use organic, or no, in this case, not organic, mechanical materials to create animals that can live by the wind only, by making use of wind only. Every year he goes to the beach of Scheveningen on the Dutch coast, and he tries out his newest creation year after year after year. And it's very interesting to look at back. If you see the 1990s, they would fall over or trip. But if you see his latest creations, they actually look like living creatures, moving, dancing almost in the wind. 2 years ago, Theo Jansen got a call from NASA because NASA was trying to develop a rover that could land on the planet of Venus, which is still in development. There's only one problem with the planet of Venus, and that is that all our mechanical or all our electronics that we have created so far on planet Earth do not work there. And the only thing that is useful to create some sort of movement is the wind. The wind on Venus is comparable to the wind on planet Earth. And they started looking for experts around the world, companies, scientists, whoever, who they could go to as a source of inspiration for creating a rover that makes use of no electricity at all. And they ended up with Theo Jansen, not because he created a company out of it, out of his strandbeesten that is world famous, or because he won a Nobel Prize. No, but because his artistic interest led him to become one of the world's most experts, best experts, when it comes to creating objects that can move without the use of electricity or a plug. And what you see on the right here is the actual mock-up, the actual design of the rover that will be sent to Venus next year or the year after, which is for a large part designed in close collaboration and based on the strandbeesten of Theo Jansen. I have one more story to tell you. If you go to the next slide, Natalia. What you see here is another form of discovery through artistic intuition. This is a small car, and actually from a disabled person, that was used by the British artist Mark Dion a couple of years ago as part of a sort of performance in the city. He took the car to New York City, to Manhattan, and as you see on top of the car, there's this very strange triangular shape, which is actually a net for the collection of bugs and insects. And what he did is he said, you know, we know so much about bugs and insects, and so much has been researched, and so many places have been gone through. What would happen if I would just put this little collector on top of my car and drive through Manhattan for a few hours? That's what he did. He drove through Manhattan for a few hours, and he drove right to the lab for the discovery of insects afterwards. And he took this little triangular shape off the top of his car. He gave it to them and he said, can you please research what's in here? And what came out was he actually discovered 3 new bugs flying around in Lower Manhattan in 2017 that had never been caught or analyzed or discovered before. This was a scientific breakthrough just by doing an artistic intervention. But what these 3 stories hopefully illustrate, and you can go to the next slide, please, Natalia. What these 3 stories illustrate is that when artists start experimenting, not for the sake of building products or developing knowledge like scientists would do, or you know, getting rich like companies would try to do, but when they start experimenting from an artistic point of view with artistic methods and artistic questions, they actually are building possible futures. And that's why I am a great supporter of collaborations between artists and industry, arts and science as well, and artists and industry, not for the sake of having artists go into companies and do some creative things, but no, artists as a third source of innovation. If you go to the next slide, Natalia, I'll show you what I mean. We see art as a third source of innovation. We know about science, we know about business, but we know much less about how artists can also contribute in this realm, which is what I am researching for my own company, InfoArt. You can click 3 times now, Natalia. I don't want to explain everything which is on here. Click to the next one. Oh, okay. I thought there was something going to pop up, but it's okay. Artist is a third source of experimentation. And we also did some research about in which domains there is very strong overlap between artistic experimentation, what artists are doing in their studios, and what companies or governments are doing in terms of innovation, technical innovation. And we found 9 different domains, and they are listed here, a little bit uncanny, with a lot of sub-terrains. And you can click a few times, Natalia, they will appear one by one. You don't have to read them all. I think the slides will be shared, so you can look them up later. You can also go to a website, art-driven-innovation.eu, where all of them are explained in detail. Over 50 domains exist, at least, that we found until now, where artists are experimenting and where a lot of innovation is needed when you look at, for instance, the needs described in the European Green Deal or in many other strategical guides. So what does that mean for setting up projects now? And to answer that question, I want to take you very briefly along 3 of the KTEs that are about to start in the Better Factory project. Can you go to the next slide, Natalia? The first one is a project called, which is led by an SME called Friction Factory. And this project brings together an artist, a tech supplier, and an SME. But this SME says, well, you know, we are already quite creative in our processes. We do not necessarily need an artist to design something new or something different for us. No, we have a completely different idea. We actually want to develop a complete new workflow where the creativity and technical solutions are integrated, and the artist becomes an integral part of the whole process. Not only working with material or waste from our process, but no, working directly with our engineers, maybe even with our clients and with our providers. And this is one way of looking at artists as a source of innovation and development, which I find highly inspiring, and which they will be which they will be experimenting with in their KTE in the coming 2 years or year plus. Another one takes a completely different approach. If you go to the next slide, Natalia. Another one of the KTEs, which is going to start now, is run by an Italian SME called Cabana Prosciutti, and they are actually a Parma ham producer. What you see here is an image of one of their drying cabinets. They went through the whole matchmaking process that we facilitated in Better Factory, and for a long time they said, "Oh, we would so much like to be innovative, but there's nothing we can do." And asking them what they meant, they said, well, you know what it is with Parma ham, everything is regulated. Everything from how we need to treat the cow towards how we need to dry it, how we need to transport it, how we need to sell it, everything is regulated. There's absolutely nothing we can do. The interesting thing is that through discussions with a tech supplier and with an artist, the artist in this consortium is Frederik de Wilde, a Belgian artist, they found out by thinking out of the box, there's actually a lot they can do without falling into the trap of going against the rules that they have. And so I'm very much looking forward to this project as well, because they actually found not 1 or 2, but a whole bunch of activities in the technical sense and in the creative sense that they will be setting up.
Great white lab coats and researching in a lab. And I guess that's the idea is that there is a potential.
Can you mute yourself, please?
Yes.
There's one more, there's one last one I wanted to briefly show you. Natalia, can you go to the last slide? Which is again a KTE where an artist and a company found each other with a completely different motive and goal. This is a KTE which will be run by Zovas Echo, and Zovas Echo is a specialized steel container manufacturer from Slovakia. And they are very good at what they do, but they have not started their digitization journey, well, basically at all. They were matched with Slovakian artist Tomáš Libertini, who you see on the bottom and in the right, who has experience with combining state-of-the-art technologies and working with steel and other types of aluminium materials that Zovas Echo is doing in their practices. And the KTE the project they have been developing is actually fed by the expertise of the artist upon how they can better use their materials, not only for their design, but to improve their products. And so here you see that in the first project that I briefly said, the artist will become an integral part of the whole process. The second one, the artist is really the one thinking out of the box. And here the artist takes more the role of the expert and guide for the company. There are more projects. There's too little time to discuss them all, but these are the three that I briefly wanted to show you as to how we are thinking about art and industry collaboration for the sake of innovation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rodolfo. I bet everyone here is very intrigued on how they can create these collaborations or collaborations that follow one of these three lines that you just presented, that I think personally are very interesting for artists to explore and see how they can contribute to transform different industries, including, well, a traditional industry like making prosciutto. Right now, well, if there's something we can do, then you'll know these two that we'll be presenting, and maybe you'll get interested and try it in the future. So now I give the floor to Ali. Hi, Ali. And he'll present the robotics and automation marketplace.
Yeah, thank you, Natalia. So hello, everyone. So I'm Ali. My name is Ali Muhammad. I am the coordinator of this this project, and we are developing this marketplace. What you see now in front of you, our logo, robotics and automation marketplace. And you heard very nice stories from just in the previous presentation from Rodolfo, that how the artists came together with the SMEs, with the companies, and they had the possibility to actually create things which were not thought before. And that's actually is the power, what I think is of the creativity in general, and of course for the artist also. So how did they meet with each other? How this is very, very, because, you know, we can all say in hindsight, it is always easy to find some success stories and tell them to everyone. But actually creating opportunities and making sure that if you want to do anything like that, you meet the right companies, right partners, and build long-term relationship with these. So this is actually the purpose of this marketplace, what you see in front of you. I'm going to explain a little bit about it. Actually, this robotics and automation marketplace is a common element in many, many different projects what we are running. Fundamental idea of this marketplace is that it's a web-based marketplace, very similar like you have Amazon. Amazon, you go and you can buy things from sellers, and it's because it provides an opportunity for the sellers to reach to the global market, to lots of customers. And at the same time, for the customer, they go there because many times they find things cheaper, or many times they just find things which it is not possible for them to find in the local market. They cannot go to a shop and buy. However, Amazon is a business to consumer market. We go there as consumers, and the businesses are there to sell. The difference here with the ramp is that it's a business-to-business market. So basically, the buyer is a business company, a factory normally, and the seller is there can be many sellers, as you see actually on the screen. There could be technology suppliers. Of course, this company needs many different kind of technologies. These companies also need to experiment sometime. They want, before they make a final investment, so they come across this competence center, trainers and skill developer. And at the bottom, you see that there is product designers. So for example, artists can be here to redesign their products and rethink of what they have been selling and do. Can we go to the next slide? Yes. So as I was saying, actually, that this has been going on over from 2017 we started, and actually Natalia, it's not I4MS, it was L4MS where we started from. But anyway, so you can see the number of projects where we are doing this thing, and in all these projects what we do is we experiment. We take a buyer, which is always a manufacturing factory, which is interested to buy a certain technology or buy a certain service. And on the other side, we actually find a seller, which could be an artist, which could be a technology supplier or a consultant. And then we put them on both sides of this marketplace, and we start doing an experiment. We start to see that what do they do, what struggles they come across when they're doing the business. So basically, then we try to solve the problems and try to make it faster through online. So that's what we have been doing, and in that way, it becomes over the time a platform where services and technologies can be transferred in the digital space. Next slide, Natalia. Okay, so here you see the concept. Like I gave the example of Amazon. If you know that Amazon, when you go as a consumer, you see a particular front, and you have the possibility to search for, like if you're looking for a t-shirt, for a screwdriver, or for a knife, or whatever you're looking for, you can search those. Then you can select what you can compare prices, you can select the one you want, you can order it, you can read reviews, you can put your credit card information, and then track your order also in the future. But that's your user interface. But if you will go to the Amazon as a seller, you will have a completely different user interface. You will have the possibility to upload the design, the pictures or the models of your product. You can change the prices, you can read the reviews. You can communicate with the customer, with your customer. So based on that, actually every digital platform, depending what is you're doing there, have to have a different side. So in that way, if you look at because manufacturing SME is the main buyer here, they are the ones who buy these kind of services. So fundamental idea on our side is that everything about their production, everything about their product, everything about their about their business should be digitized, should be virtualized. So once everything is virtualized, it means that now it can be shared in the virtual space as needed. Of course, it doesn't mean that they can share everything, but they can share with you the things, for example, if they are particularly looking to upgrade some product and want to get your consultancy on that. So they will share only that product with you. So this marketplace allows companies to actually share and do the co-creation. Next slide. Yeah, so how it works is that actually they take the data, they can share their data and the 3D factory to the to the supplier, to the system integrator, or to the technology supplier, develop the solution, show it to them. So basically, if you will be working with the end user, with the manufacturing factory, you will be basically having the model of the product in the middle, and you will be having discussion around that and upgrading and making a new design available, and then getting the feedback and going back with a new concept and so on. Next slide, Natalia. I think this is interesting because now you saw the examples what were given by Rodolfo, that some of them are not directly working with the manufacturing company, but they are also have the possibility to participate together with a technology supplier or a system integrator. So what can really happen that that many times artists can actually make the technology suppliers, they are expert and they are interested in technology. They are interested in robots, they are interested in software, and they do not necessarily have the very much understanding that how it can be delivered to a customer where it is more user friendly for a worker. Because a worker may not be a technology expert, the worker may not be very interested in robots. This is just day-to-day job. So basically he should or she should be able to use it very, very easily and very, very fast. So we think that there is a huge potential, there is a big market, and we are trying to explore that. Next slide, Natalia. Yeah, and then this is the interesting part. So basically, if you're looking for opportunities, so this is one place, this marketplace, where you can come and then you can look for a potential customer for yourself. There may be companies who are looking for an artist like you. You can actually advertise your profile. But the important part is that it provides all the tools which are needed for people to start working, because whenever you start, business to business world is different as compared to business to consumer world. So you can actually go to Amazon and put your credit card information and start buying things. It doesn't work in the business to business world. Nobody uses credit cards there to transfer money or anything like that. So normally you have to have contracts. So what we do, what the marketplace allow, is a very quick process to conclude the contract with the customer. So the customer can actually launch a tender, they can shortlist certain suppliers, they can negotiate online, and the contract is when is this ready. You only have to press a button that I accept the contract, then it's done. So you don't have to go to a lawyer, you don't have to go to anybody for every single negotiation. That doesn't need to be discussed. You once need to understand that what is the standard contract. Basically, it's a very standard contract, and you just follow on that contract. So this takes a burden away of all this legal work which everybody has to do for supplying the services. Next slide, Natalia. Yeah, and also everybody's IPR is protected. So once when you register on the RAM, you have to sign an agreement. You have to accept a user agreement, and that actually ensures that everybody's IPR is protected. What it means that if you hear a product idea from a customer, and basically now you know that idea, you should not be going and selling it to some other customer, because that would be that would hurt the business of this this original customer from where you got the idea. So that is very, very, very important. In the same way, when you are making proposals to the customer with your ideas, it is also possible for the customer that they hear the idea from you, but they don't like your cost, or they don't just like, they want to work with their friend or their brother, and they take your idea and go to them and say that, hey, this looks like a better idea, let's do this, but you do it. So they shouldn't also do this. So we have to make sure that your IPR is protected and their IPR is protected. Next slide. Yes, and for the internet platforms, security, cybersecurity is one of the key elements. So the company where I work for which I work, which is actually hosting this ramp platform. It's called European Dynamics. They are providing ICT systems for military, for banks, for cities, for highly cyber secure applications. So basically, here you get a very high level of the best of the best cybersecurity. So all your data, all your models and ideas you have uploaded, they remain protected. Next slide. Is there some more slide? Yes. Yeah, so one thing is that you can reach out to a very large community because RAMP is connected to 170 different regions of Europe. It will be connected to 170 different regions of Europe by the end of this next year, by the end of 2022. So you can actually reach a very, very large customer base. I think that's all I have. Natalia, isn't this
Thank
enough?
you, Ali, so much for your intervention. So, well, to summarize and to put it out there for you, artists, if you're interested in trying out not only the platform, but promoting your work, your creativity, see how can you collaborate with manufacturers or technology suppliers to spark innovations. We offer also the possibility of accessing to all these tools that Ali just explained. You have contracts there, you have IPR management, you have security for your ideas. So if you want to try this platform, well, you stay tuned to the Better Factory Next expression of interest that will be launched next year. You have the information on the chat, and follow us on our social media channels and our web. So what happens after you spark your collaboration, you come up with a great idea, but you want to grow it, to go beyond what you did or the thing that you made. It could be a product, a new service. How do you make it bigger? So for that part, we have our next speaker, Marco from Innova, and he'll be speaking to us, talking to us about opportunities for growth. Hi, Marco, welcome.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marco Duarte from Innova. Thank you for joining this session. The following presentation will be focused on business opportunities, and particularly for artists. Artists that are looking to develop their ideas into businesses. They should use their artistic dimension as their value propositions, but keeping in mind that it is required for them to have a business knowledge so they can enter in the business world and interact with key stakeholders. So access to finance is not only an important for the development of a business, but it seems to be one of the most pressing challenges that the European SMEs are facing right now. Alternative finance is key at the very early stages of a company when hardly other finance providers are taking the risk. Moreover, certain forms of alternative finance. Today, I'll be presenting here some of these alternatives finance that are related with two methods: the crowdfunding, which is a form of crowdsourcing, and alternatives finance, which usually are used for funding a project or venture by raising small amounts of money, and also business angels, which constitutes an opportunity for innovative business projects or growth potentials, usually generated through management partnerships, which represents an important advantage for entrepreneurs with a little previous business experience. So in this slide, you will see examples of some of the European networks that you could engage with, follow up on the events that they are promoted. So just a quick overview on all of this. We will have the Eurocrowd as a European crowdfunding network, which is a business network that aims to innovate and represents to promote and protect the European crowdfunding industry. We have the IBAN, which is the pan-European representative for early stage investors, and which is a large network with most representative and most experienced network in Europe. We also have the Business Angels, which represents European Business Angels Federations and trade associations in Europe. The START European partnership that aims at offering an integrated pan-European platform to help the best startups to emerge in the ecosystems and to scale up. And finally, CERN, that stands for the Startup Europe Regions Network, which is an initiative of the European Commission with the goal for creating links between ecosystems. The engagement, as I was saying in the beginning, it is very important to increase your network and your visibility to the market. And you can look for more information about these networks and the events that they promoted. On the next slide, please, we'll see the Business Angels activities. Since the European Commission encouraged the European countries to learn from good practices by supporting Business Angels investments, particularly across borders and by cooperating with venture capital funds. In these slides, we present some of the activities that are being related with the Business Angels, the Human Business Angels for European entrepreneurs, which supports the human entrepreneurs by raising the awareness of the Business Angels, training women who would like to become business angels. Then we have two studies, one for the nature and impacts of business angels and funding research and innovation, as well as an evaluation of the tax incentives schemes for venture capital and business angels. We also share with you the good practices of the guidebook on fostering business angels activities in support of SME growth. We will share this information with you all, that you, for the interested ones who would like to seek for more information, then you will have access to the links that are incorporated in the presentation. So on the next slide, we will share then a different approach, which is from the European, that has several funding programs that you may be able to apply for depending on the nature of your business or projects. However, it is important to state that European projects should not be targeted as business models, but rather as a support mechanism. There are two different types. There are direct funding, which allocates the direct funding capital that is managed by the European institutions, and also the direct funding, which is managed by national and regional authorities. So on the following slides, we will present the direct funding examples. When thinking about about artists, we identified the three main opportunities, programs that could be suitable as the Creative Europe, which is the European Commission's framework program to support the cultural and audiovisual sectors.
We identified the program that might be suitable for artists to apply. It's called Horizon Europe. That's the name of the program.
Yeah.
And then the Horizon Europe is the European key funding program for research and innovative with the budget. And Erasmus Plus is the Europeans program to support education, training, youth, and support in Europe. You may explore the programs according to your scope and activity of your interests, but please keep in mind that European funds are not easy to get, as the success rate is pretty low in general, and many calls are directed to big players. So the number of calls that actually fit your activities are reachable and could be lower. So moving on to the next slide. There are many ways to find the open calls and funding opportunities. You can either search by topic, as topics correspond to the different directories that manage thematic calls, such as climate action, education, or culture. You can also search by keywords, using keywords that will be work for you to have a real specific term in research, as for example, 3D printing, STEAM, or arts. And so our guess is that you should not get lost in the European wonderland, since there are too many opportunities in there. And for the creation Europe, you will see an example in the next slide, where we just identified here. We don't go into details. The upcoming call for the Creative Europe, and that you will be could take a look to see if it could be interested for you to apply. Then on the next one, for the Horizon Europe, the pillar 2, which is the culture, creativity, and inclusive society. It is the most directed to the artist, and in particularly in this destination 2 of this cluster, activities will promote better access and engagement with cultural heritage and improve its protection and storage. Research and innovation will support sustainable growth and job creation through the cultural and creative industries, and contribute to integrate them into the European industrial policy as drivers for innovation and competitiveness. Then we have the Axia Accelerator, and on the next slide, yes. So it supports, no, sorry, please go back. So the Axia Accelerator is an individual small for small and medium enterprises, and particularly for startups and spin-out companies to develop and scale up game-changing innovations. This accelerator has funding applications which can be applied at any time. So it is more simpler than the previous program that I presented, and it is appropriate for heart-driven projects where artists can take the opportunity to apply their ideas in a 2-stage proposal, starting by a minimalist proposal in stage 1. So we are encouraged to search for more information about the Axia Accelerator in the link provided. For the next slide here, we also present here some cascade funding opportunities that you can look for in the EC portal, which links to other projects, as you will also find there the new opportunity there for the new open call of Better Factory that will be opening in the early next year. So STARTS is also a way to seek for opportunities in the market. You already, I suppose that you already heard about STARTS today during these sessions. And STARTS is not a program like Erasmus, and it is not neither a transversal line of budget like Marie Curie. It is aimed at supports collaborations across roles of science, tech, and arts. You must imagine STARTS as an umbrella that covers various funded projects that are autonomous and have their own agenda, even if they are gathered by the will of bringing arts and in science and tech and develop more human-centered solutions. And most of the STARTS funded projects launch open calls at art and tech and art and science projects. And then you will find some more opportunities in the link. So for the regional innovation hubs that here represented are one-stop shops that help companies become more competitive with regard of their business production and processes. And the true new DIH are funded by STARTS, the Media Future, the Vortex, and the Better Factory. And of course, today here, I'm just going to briefly mention the value proposition for the artists in the Better Factory. So on the next slide, just to recap, as Ramon presented in the beginning, the objective is to select the most innovative challenges and we are addressed for the SMEs and the mid caps to identify the artists and the tech suppliers. So the second open call will be starting, as I was saying, in the early 2022, okay, and the KTs will be supported then for the new product lines and deploy automation solutions in the factories. For the next and final slide, we'll present. If you could please move, Natalia.
Yes, there wasn't another slide, but yeah, I think that we can talk about it.
Okay, just to quick give an overview of the value propositions for artists. So the value proposition that we offer is funding and testing, mentoring, and RAM. So the funding and testing, an opportunity for artists to create and put into practice their concepts and innovation product services for manufacturing SMEs. For the mentoring, we will support artists during the collaborations in the experiments and heart of business mentors. And some of these supports will be for the business plan, business model, public funding, private funding, storytelling, marketing, and pitching, and as well as support for the intellectual property and patenting. And finally, in the ramp as well, in the platform previously presented by Ali, where artists will receive training on how to use and engage with stakeholders, explaining and supporting on how innovative services will become a business in the ramp platform.